Welcome to the Worry-Free Podcast by Event Resources. I'm Lee Simmons. Some events like to have a party after the presentation. Who doesn't like to dance at an event, right? But the first reaction might be to hire a DJ. But have you thought about hiring a live band instead? Why would this maybe give you a different experience for your guests? Joining me for this discussion is Renee Prescott from the Shaded Soul Band. Renee, hiring a DJ is easy. But why, in your opinion, is hiring a live band going to give a better guest experience?
Well, you have when I walk into a room and I see a live band, it brings back those childhood memories of playing the guitar, the air guitar. You know, you see a guitar that you're like having fun, or you're driving to work and you're beating on your dashboard. Those are the things that you want to create that energy. And there's the visual as well, as seeing 8 people up there interacting with the audience. A lot of times I'll take, I play the keyboard, so I have a headset microphone, and I'll walk out into the audience and have fun with the audience. I'll interact with them. So there's that different level of being personal, one-on-one with the guests and creating that environment that they want.
It kind of sounds like it's more of like a real performance than just dancing, listening to music, right?
Of course, yeah, of course.
I mean, the interaction?
Yeah, absolutely. You'll find some bands, they'll do all the choreographed dance steps and have fun with them, but we also go into the audience, and it creates that more personal touch, I think.
Other than weddings, what other events would a live band might be a good fit for?
We do a lot of summer concerts, local park and rec things. We do a lot of corporate events, a lot of fundraisers. Fundraisers are my specialty because I like to make sure that we're giving back to the community. You know, a lot of times I'll do things that are a little special at a fundraiser, like I'll auction the band off at the end of the night, and the proceeds will go back to the charity. So it's kind of getting two for one for the band. And weddings, of course. But
Sure. And now, can a band be helpful in an event other than just playing the music at the end? I mean, how can they have other interactions? You kind of touched on it on like fundraisers, but can you tell us more, explain more of how bands can be more interactive with the event, not only for the music at the end?
yeah, well, I'm going to give you a couple experiences that I've had. So we did an event once, and it was a Batman-themed event. So the owner of the president of the company came zipline down onto the stage and did a Batman scene fight with Robin Hood. So what I did was I created the sounds on my keyboard, and as they were doing the punch and the smack, I was doing that on the keyboards. Another one was a Back to the Future theme, where there was they were playing Johnny Be Good in Back to the Future. So my guitar player, we were actually playing Johnny Be Good, and the guy on the stage was doing the skit for Johnny Be Good. So it was like a interaction with the management, and it created that whole scene for the event. It's awesome. It's awesome.
So if a band is playing at an event, what are things needed, or at least needed to remember from the needed for the band to be successful and used at the event?
Okay, well, if it depends on the event. Okay, so a smaller event like a wedding, I'll usually bring my own PA system, and I won't have to worry about that. But if you're doing an event that's going to be at a place like the Convention Center, the Hartford Convention Center, is a big area. So you're going to need a company that's going to be able to have your sound right there on stage, but yet project out into the audience. So you'd hire a company like Event Resources to come in and do the sound, which they provide a sound engineer. They'll do all the monitors for the band. The front stage might. The speakers going out to the audience. They will also, a lot of companies will do dance floors. They'll provide lighting. They'll provide draping for the background, so it'll look nice. And a couple other things. If you're the client, you should think about if your group comes in early, like the band gets there at say 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, you have to coordinate that with other people coming in to load in their equipment. So you have to bring a load-in time. So say they load at the loading dock and they have to get to the event space. Who's going to help them get that to the event space? Is it us, or is there a company that's going to help them when they get to the event space? Is there going to be a specific time for a sound check? Because you're going to need to sound check. And then another thing is during that time frame, when the band stops and there's that lull, where does the band go? You know, they have to sit down somewhere. If they get there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, usually you're going to have a place to eat. So you're going to have to provide a meal for them.
Yeah, often forgotten, I can imagine.
Yeah,
from
a lot
planners.
of times, yeah.
Yep.
And you don't want a hungry band member. That's too much. So these are some of the logistical things. But there's also the scenario where if you have to fly a band out, say they fly us down to Florida. The company should think about having backline, and backline will consist of the drums, a bass guitar amp, and a guitar amp. And because carrying a drum set on a plane is a lot more cost effective for the company to just have in place than it is to have the band bring it. Now the band will bring their own instruments like guitars and stuff like that, but the back line is what would be provided for an out-of-state event.
But if it's a local event, should the person planning the event expect the band to bring all of those instruments?
Absolutely, all the time. Like when we come in, we'll bring all of our instruments, but we'll also coordinate ahead of time with the sound company to make sure that we give them a stage plot, like where do we want our monitors to be, how many vocal mics do I need? Do I need a saxophone microphone? There's all these like intricate things that we need to think about.
Power too. Power's always a big
There
thing,
you go,
right?
power. I go to sometimes weddings, and depending on the venue, if it's an older venue, the power source might not be that strong. So you'll have it's supposed to run 120 amps, and sometimes I'll walk in and it's 110 amps, and then we have a problem with sound. Do I need reinforced generators? Things that you need to think about. And here's one that's very interesting that I come into a lot. When I'm doing a wedding, sometimes they will have the band on the same circuit as the kitchen, same source as the kitchen, and so what's happened is the draw from the ovens pulls so much power that there's not enough power for the band, and then the speakers, you could blow your speakers, or you could have disrupted sound by crackling sounds because there's not enough consistent line electricity.
Sure.
So these are things that I've run into throughout the years.
But that goes back to I believe, the importance of a conversation ahead of time.
Yeah.
That way, the person organizing the event, the venue, the production company, and the band are all on the same page of knowing what the requirements are, power requirements. Because a production company might have the sound system on it. Or like you said, the venue might have the kitchen. So we got to make sure things are allocated correctly, and that all stems from a conversation ahead of time to know what's needed there.
It's not like we just walk in and you hire a band and then boom, there you go, 2 weeks before the band shows up. I have constant contact with my clients. I will contact them every couple months just to make sure that is the power source right? Who am I dealing with? The photographers, because we also need to worry about or think about the photographers and what they need as well to make sure that the event is a success. Video, those things that I didn't mention before, those are important. That a lot of the times, if you have a company of your size, like Event Resources, they have all of that in place, and they have professionals in each one of those fields.
Could you touch on the importance, is it necessary or not, with being on a stage versus the floor, and why it might be good or not important, in the lighting, and with the vibe? Can you touch on those?
Yeah. Being on the floor at a wedding, I like to be right on the floor with the guests because it's an intimate moment. I want to feel like I'm part of the party. But with that being said, what I will do is I make sure that my front line has all cordless microphones, so it not only sounds good, but it looks good in the pictures. That's important. It's not just the sound, it's making sure that it looks good in pictures. And a band with experience will know that, and they'll make sure that that's in place. And then lighting, a lot of times at weddings you'll find basic lighting. And that's not, you don't want so much at a wedding because it's not the showpiece. The showpiece is the bride and the groom. But if you're doing a corporate event, that is where you want the energy to be at that moment, because they're creating the rest of that event and they're making sure that that event is a huge success. You want the people to walk out the door singing the last song that we just played and knowing that, okay, we had this nice, beautiful lighting and it felt good. It's not just that it sounds good, but it has to feel good too. And the lighting creates that ambiance that you want.
It kind of sounds like it all goes together as the vibe for the guest experience, as you just said there. Okay, so let's say a discussion was made, or decision I should say, was made to hire a band What type of band should be hired? How does the person planning the event know what type of band is right for their event?
Well, first of all, you need to think about your clientele that you're having at the event. You know, if you're having an older, like a 70s and older or 60s and older, you're going to want an oldies band, something that is familiar with the people. Sometimes you'll find an event they want swing music particularly. So you're going to have to find a swing group, or you can find something like Shaded Soul, because we do all different styles of music, and we can do the ceremonies, we can do the cocktail hours. Say you're doing a big event and you have an auction going out in the lobby, we can provide like a trio during that time for background music, and then bring the musicians in after that for the real party. So, you know, it depends on what your theme is going to be for the evening. You know.
What's one question that someone planning an event should ask someone like yourself when they are interviewing or inquiring about a band for their event? What's like the one question that they should be asking you to make sure they have the information to make the right decision?
Well, I do an interview process. So I pretty much lay out all of this, but questions that they should ask is, I think really, for me, power source. And I know that sounds strange, because if I have the right power source, it's going to be, you know, and they're going to ask questions like, how big is the space? That's another thing that's really important, is can we fit in the space that you have? Sometimes the venues are extremely small, and do you want an 8-piece band in a venue that's going to hold 40 people? You know, we are half of the occupancy, you know? Right. But, you know, if you're doing something that's bigger, you know, here's a staging, can you fill up that stage? That's another thing. You know, you don't want a duo on a stage that is huge, because it's not going to feel right. You know, you want the feeling as well.
Awesome.
You know?
All right, Renee,
I
thank
hope
you
that
so
answered
much.
some of your questions.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for tuning into the Worry Free Podcast. We hope at your next event, if you plan on partying after the presentation, now you have a little more information to see if a live band is the right fit for you. Thanks again for watching the Worry Free Podcast by Event Resources.